Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Welcome to another Everything in Bloom on the 8th and yet again on the 9th. Tough. I think I'm going to rename it Everything in Bloom somewhere around the 8th. It does occasionally be early and it is more frequently late. Often because the date falls on a Sunday and I'm not changing the Sunday chat. That stays where it is, if at all possible. So it moves to Monday, but occasionally I might do it on the Saturday. And sometimes there's other reasons, like, you know, it conflicts with a show day or something like that. Anyway, this is starting in the kitchen with the Phalaenopsis. They're not all in here. There's a couple in by my workstation, which we'll see on the way to the grow room. But basically this is watering day for the Phalaenopsis, so I've got to get them down from where they are now, where I can't film them. As you can see, it's a complete silhouette against that window, especially today when it's it's actually a sunny day out there. Not in my garden, but it is out there. So the light would be almost impossible to film these. So as I'm getting them down to water them, I've just watered the whole of the top shelf, and there's only one actually in spike from the top shelf, and that's this one here. And it's endearingly known as Phalaenopsis O. Because most of these are hybrids, and if I don't put some sort of identification on them, then I don't know which one's which. So I can go and look up in my notes what Phalaenopsis O actually is. And it's the one that I bought at our 50th anniversary show, which would have been last year in March, and it was in flower at the time. And it's the one that has a relatively large pale yellow bloom that I absolutely love, and it's back in spike again. So it looks like its annual spike and bloom time is early in the year. February, March time. Our show would have been at the beginning of March and it was in bloom. The trouble is I don't know how long it had been in bloom. You know, when you buy stuff in bloom you don't know. It could be coming to the end of its blooming time. You know, the blooms might not last long at all. They might have only just opened. And certainly with Phalaenopsis it does pay to buy plants that are in spike in bloom but have still got some buds to go. Then you know that the blooms that are open haven't been open that long. Anyway, so this is the pale yellow one, and it's the only one that's in spike on the top shelf. So we'll now move on to the bottom shelf, after I've watered them, of course. Okay, and off of the bottom shelf here, what I'm doing is I'm getting them all down and watering them and putting them back so that the ones that aren't in spike are out of the way, just leaving the ones that are in spike. That's my theory. Right, now this one, endearingly known as Phal C, has actually got a spike tucked away under there, and I do believe has a second one starting there. Now this is one of the first to be out of the first set of mini phals that I bought from Double H. You remember I bought 4 at full price and then went back a while later and bought another 4 at a discounted price. And this is the yellow one. And out of the 8 that I got, there were quite a few duplicates in there, but there was only one yellow one. And it's a lovely pale yellow, and it looks like we're going to have 2 spikes. I doubt if there'll be a patch on the spikes that Double H managed to produce, but at the end of the day, you know, they grow theirs in ideal conditions, and I currently have not got ideal conditions. The heating has been on since I got up at 5 o'clock. It's now well into the afternoon. The heating's been on all day, and I've just managed to get up to 20 degrees in the kitchen. When I came down this morning it was 13 degrees in the kitchen, and 13 degrees for Phalaenopsis is not exactly ideal. Their ideal growing temperature is 26 to 28 degrees centigrade. 13 is not even close, which means their growth is slowed down to a standstill, if there is any at all. Nonetheless, as we learned at Double H, the way to get them to spike is to chill them down. So bring them down from their ideal temperature to a much lower one. So in theory, why aren't mine all in spike? Well, a lot of it is because they haven't long lost their blooms. They do need time to recover, grow a few more roots and grow a few more leaves before they start getting back into the mood to bloom. So, and they're not going to do much of that in the temperatures I've currently got. So anyway, that's the yellow one. Now this one here, somebody asked for an update on this one. This is it. This is the one that had the terminal spike and 2 other spikes. The other 2 spikes have long gone, but the terminal spike looked like it was growing again. And it's difficult to say in this light. I suppose I could put the actual light on, but that looks to me like a brand new spike. And it's another terminal spike, because this is the terminal spike that I cut off. I thought that was a branch, but on reflection I think it's an entirely separate new bloom spike from the terminal. So there you go, that's your update. This is the one with the very delicate variegation on the very edges of the leaves. Now the last leaf it grew, I think it's finished growing now, and it certainly hasn't got anywhere near full size. But many thought I should send that one back and get a replacement because of what it is. And I thought, well, we'll hang on to it and see how it does. So that's your update on that one. We will get some more blooms. That one's white. Now this one has no tag. Therefore, it's one of Hannah's mini fowls that I've had for some time that came down here to be looked after. And until it blooms, I don't know which one it is. But when it blooms, it'll get a label with a letter with an H in brackets for Hannah's. It's a very complex naming system I've got here, but otherwise they're just all fowl hybrids. And then we'll update the notes as to what colour this one is when it comes out. It looks like it's going to be pale, but you can be fooled, but the buds can look pale until they open. But a nice spike on that one. Is that a second spike coming down there? Let me turn it round. Oh, the light is awful in here today. Yeah, I do believe that's a second spike. So we may have 2 coming on that one as well. That'll be good. And then the last one over here, endearingly known as Phalaenopsis L. I know. This one has got the what I believe to be a trade name, but it might actually be registered, and it's Las Vegas. And it has the peachy orangey colours. It's beautiful, beautiful blooms. Now I don't think it's going to be an impressive spike, but then it's not a strong plant. It's got plenty of good roots, but it hasn't got many leaves. I think I've got 2 of these. There might be another one somewhere. I'm not sure. I might have lost the other one. But anyway, we've got a spike on that. So at some point down the line, we should see those nice peachy colours again. Okay, so that's it for the Phalaenopsis. And now, well, actually, we've still got 2 to go on the way to the grow room. So let's go and do that. Right, before we whiz out in the grow room, we've got these 2 paths that live in here. There's a reason for these 2 being in here. This one is huge, and the flowers are facing the wrong way for it to stay in the kitchen. The flowers are facing this way towards us, the plant's facing that way. So where would the plant go? It would have to go on the top shelf. And where would the leaves go? Because they drop down lower than the bottom of the pot. So I wouldn't be able to put this on the shelf and see the bloom, so I brought it in here. This one's been in here since I got it, because I like the blooms. But it's virtually finished now. There's one more bud to come, and this one doesn't seem to want to open properly, and the previous one dropped off before it opened. So this one's not doing very. This spike is not doing very well. The plant's okay, but yes. So the last 2 before we go out in the grow room then. Okay, on out into the grow room then. There are some things I'm going to miss out in here. I'm not doing all the spikes on the Cymbidiums for a start. We've been over those quite recently. I'll go over those that are well advanced or actually in bloom. So starting over here, we've got the virused one, Hannah's one. 2 spikes on here. If you want to look back at last month's and see how big these spikes were, you get an idea of what a month's worth of growth is like on Cymbidium spikes. You can disregard the fact that this plant's virus. The spikes are still behaving normally. The second one does need a stake. It's come out from behind the leaf now, so it is sort of climbing upwards. And the one that's got a stake is going to need a clip higher up soon. If I let it arch, the weight might break it because there's an awful lot of buds at the top of that spike. The trouble is the stake is probably not long enough. But I have longer ones, I can always replace it. So that one's doing fine as far as blooming is concerned, not as far as the plant is concerned. Right, this is the recently acquired Brassica hybrid, Brassica type. Although it does look like an actual Brassica hybrid, I don't think there's anything mixed in with it, which is good. There's still more buds to come, but there's buds on this spike here. They're quite attractive flowers. I'm sure if I could get some sun in here, there'd be some fragrance, but I can't, so there isn't. As far as the Paphiopedilums are concerned, we've just got this one here. It's a lovely looking Paph. And the second one down here is showing its bud now, so that's advanced a fair bit since last we looked. Right, over here, I'm going to have to use the zoom. The black hair type, the Infundibulum over there, has buds that are advancing quite well at the top. There, you can see them now. But in addition to that, I don't know whether it'll focus. If you come down that cane, no, I'm going to have to move. Let's come round here, which probably means we can't focus now because I've moved. There, I think. Just have a look at the screen. If you come down that cane that we've just looked at the buds on the top, there are other buds. And if you look at the cane with the leaves on, that's the one that got dropped and snapped the top, that I didn't know whether it would bloom or not. Well, yes, we've got buds on there too. And then up in the corner, still advancing slowly but surely, I better get the zoom out now, is my Laelia anceps. And the buds are actually let's go back on the zoom, the buds are actually starting to form now. So hopefully nothing's going to blast there and we will get some nice Cattleya blooms. Laelia. I think it is actually called Cattleya anceps now, I'm not sure. They keep messing about with the names, don't they? Right, as far as the Cymbidiums are concerned, we've had a look at Hannah's one. The other one with a well-advanced spike is down here. This is the other one that's possibly virused as well, because it does have some markings on some of the leaves. And that's not a good spike. That's only got 6 buds on. It's a giant spike. It's got strength in it. It's thick. And it's got a good strong base, but it hasn't produced many buds. It could be because it's a weakened plant. I don't know. But that's not necessarily a good spike. Trouble is, I can't remember how many blooms were on the spikes last time round, unfortunately. And then up here we've got the Cymbidium pumilo, primary cross. Gorgeous blooms, lovely colour. They are effectively green, but you could say it's a greenish, bright, sunny yellow, because it is almost yellow. But nonetheless it is actually green. And then we've got the one with the 3 big spikes up here, which if I can get it in the car, I will probably take it to the Orchid Society meeting on Saturday. And on that subject there certainly won't be any videos on Saturday. It's a long day for me, it's a committee meeting, so I've got to be out of here sort of 11 o'clock. And I've got a lot of stuff to load up in the car this time round because of what's going on. I'm actually doing a presentation repot of the one of the mini Phalaenopsis. So I've got to take all my camera gear and everything and the laptop and get it all set up so that I can do a close-up through the projector up onto the big screen. Plus it's the first month of the year when everybody pays their subscriptions. I've got to get all that sorted out. It's going to be a very busy meeting for me. So yeah, so this one may go out to play. If it'll fit in the car without any signs of, you know, damaging it. It's got to fit in the car in a way that it's nice and firm and secure and it's not going to fall over or anything. If I can do that, I'll take it. Now I'm not going to film the buds on the Nobiles. There are some, but they're up the back and it would mean moving a lot of plants. But coming over here we've got this Cambria. There's a lot of Miltonia in this, a lot. But what else is in it, goodness only knows. But these are gorgeous blooms. It's funny, there's something in the colour on these blooms. When I did the video filming the blooms to actually make my photos for my pop-ups, and it's doing it again now, I had to film this one 3 times before it was in focus. I'm not even that close. This camera just objects to filming this particular colour. There's something about it. It just won't focus sharp. It's got it now, I think. But it has trouble with that colour. And then over here we've got the Tiger Tail. Last few blooms now. It's on its last legs. It will be gone soon. But nonetheless, it's lasted a very long time, those blooms. And it was a split. I split the plant last time I repotted it, and the other one has got buds on as well, but I can't remember where it is. It's down on one of these lower shelves somewhere. And then we've got the Miltoniopsis, the Her Alexandre, that's still looking good. These blooms are lasting well. I mean, that was got at a visit to Burnham's. It's a while back now, and it was in bloom at the time, so they're lasting well. Still looking good as well. And then down here, finally, this little Twinkle has actually opened. Now, whether I can focus on the tiny little blooms, they are tiny and they should be fragrant, but I just don't get enough light. It needs a stronger light, but we will see if we can force this camera to do a focus on something that is very small. They're lovely little blooms. Typical Oncidium shaped blooms, and a lovely colour. It's called Pink Profusion, and I think it's aptly named, I think they say. I've just spotted the other Tiger Tail because the spike's sticking out. So that's another one down there that's got buds on. There's nothing else around here. Then we get on to the Coelogenes, and some of these I can't get at without moving too many plants, so I won't. My Cristata, I wonder if I could... No, I can't. It's just too many plants in the way. But right up the back is my ordinary Cristata, the standard one. That spike is pushing on well, but I just can't see through any gaps to get at it, unfortunately. So that one's got a spike on. And then we've got this one that is a sequential bloomer, and this is Speciosa, and it's the Burnham's, the one with the variety Burnham. So it was a specifically good one that actually got registered as a variety. It's just a bud, and another bud coming up here, but I think this is the 5th flower on these spikes, and all the time the leaves are progressing, and it just keeps chucking another one. And if you look, it's going to do it again, so that'll take it to 6, providing they survive, of course. It just keeps blooming on the same spike over and over again. It's doing really well. And then we've got this recent acquisition. This is the there's a bit of light coming through from the lounge on that's lighting it up a bit. It's strange because the sun can't shine directly, but it's bouncing off my work table, throwing a little bit of light, hence it's casting a bit of bright light. But this is the Cristata lemoniana, and I like these blooms a lot. They've got nice curly wavy petals and sepals, and the subtlest of yellow in the centre. Lovely colouring, very delicate. Now what have we got down here? Have we got any Restrepias with blooms on? Well, we've got one there. I think that's, I can't see the label, it's right round the back. But you should get pop-ups if I can be bothered. But again, you know, very low light level, difficult to focus. I mean, this is in almost shade here because of all the cotyledons above it. You know, it's this is a shady shelf. It might be quite high up, but the pots and leaves above it are dense, so it is quite a shady shelf. And then the next cotyledons are down on yet a lower shelf yet again. So that's that. And then we've got this Crosthetia type down here. I don't know whether I can get this to focus. This is difficult, especially the way I'm having to hold the camera. Oh, I'm having to rest it on my knees. I don't think that's in focus. Oh yeah, it might be. Pretty little blooms, but very small, and spaced out on the spike. The first bloom's actually been open on that spike some time, and yet the other, you know, there's buds not even formed and, you know, ready to open yet, so it's going to be in bloom a very long time. I think there was some of those at Burnham's actually open when I was there. So there we are, that's it. Let's have a look. What else can I do up here? I think I might be able to get through to the cotyledony spikes at the back here. Yeah, you can see one there. They're quite large buds, but they look like a single bud. There's 3 or 4 of them on that plant, but they're all tucked in the leaves. There's another one here. That's probably the biggest one sticking up there, the end of my finger. So there's that one will bloom eventually, but it does specifically say in several places that I've read that they are slow to develop. The buds are slow to develop. So, I mean, that might be the one, but I've got one cotyledony where the spike forms and the bud forms, and then it doesn't open for 2 or 3 months. It just sits there. The last time it did that, it just sat there for ages, and I thought, oh, it's going to fail, it's going to blast. And then it started to change colour, and I thought, no, there it goes, and then it opened. So it changed colour just before it opened. Yeah, but that went a very long time before the bud opened. Right, so there we go, that's it for this time. And a lot of repeats. You know, there's a lot of stuff that was in bloom in the last month's version that are either still in bloom. There's a few gone over, and there's a few buds pushing on farther than they were. So that's it for today. Now, I don't know what I'll be up to tomorrow. Saturday is my Orchid Society meeting. We might get a bit of a gap here. I've got a visitor tomorrow. I've got somebody from the Office of National Statistics coming round to interview me on household expenses that then go into the national database to produce figures that the government work on. You know, where, well, they say they do. I can remember an expression: there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. You can do what you like with statistics and play around with maths figures and make things sound so good when in actual fact they are almost damn right lies. I mean, my favourite is something like McDonald's, who say our beef burgers contain 100% British beef. That doesn't mean the beef burger is 100% beef. It just means the beef they've used is 100% British. There might only be 5% beef in the whole thing and the rest is sawdust. See what I mean? Can play around with figures and, you know, almost make people believe the total untruth. You know. Anyway, time's getting on now today. I've left this quite late, this filming. And I'll see you next time with whatever. As I said, I'm not quite sure what I'll film tomorrow. Definitely won't be filming Saturday. I'd like to film the plants that are on show on Saturday. I'm just not going to have time. I'm just going to be too busy. It's the one meeting of the year where I'm sort of run off my feet because of this, and the fact that I'm doing a repotting demo as well as my normal busy January. I can't see me. I don't even think it's worth taking the camera. So, but we'll be back to some sort of normality on Sunday, and we'll see how we go from then. Bye for now.